Welcome to episode number 370 of the Marine Layer podcast, live from Mariners spring training in Peoria. We have a very, very, very special guest on with us. The voice of the Mariners, Rick Rizzs, in his 41st and final season, joins us to talk his favorite Mariners memories, his excitement for this upcoming Mariners team, and a whole lot more. Lyle and I also have some more takeaways from our first 4 days here in Peoria.
Reminder to you guys, if you're listening to these episodes, just go do us a huge favor. Make sure you download the podcast episodes on the audio side. Go rate and review 5 stars. Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, it helps a ton. Same idea over on YouTube, but just go hit subscribe. It supports the YouTube channel a ton. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment, and then you can check us out on our website too, marinelayerpod.com. All our merch is there. Go get yourself some merch ahead of the start of the year. You can find our Patreon there. Our episodes are all there. That's marinelayerpod.com. And then you can find us all across social media where we'll have plenty of spring training content at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. One more from Jansen. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment. Tie ball game at 7-7.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network, recording here on Thursday. Yes, it's Thursday. The date is February 26th. Lyle and I are basking in the sun right here next to Field 2 at the Peoria Sports Complex. Mariners are playing behind us late in that game. We were over there for a little bit. It was fun. It's getting a little bit more crowded. It's getting closer to the weekend. A lot of people are coming down just for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and seemingly having a great time. It is a little hot out.
A little hot. It is about as hot as it's ever been at this time of the year in Arizona. I mean, we're approaching 90.
It's like a record, I think. We were watching the news this morning, and it is a record for Arizona at this time of year.
Look, I'm not going to complain because I would take this a million out of a million times over the cold Seattle rain, especially this time of year. So I'm not going to complain. But yes, it's a little hot. If I could like pick it perfectly, if I got my own pick of the litter, sure. Would I choose 78 degrees instead of 90? Fine. But I am going to enjoy the sunshine every minute of it while we're here.
Just like we all should. And we'll have some nice color when we go back to Seattle on Saturday night. There have been a lot of things we've gotten to experience in these 4 days while we're here. We talked about some of the storylines on Wednesday's podcast. Now we have a couple more for you today. But I think the overarching one I'm learning through these 4 days, especially how we're approaching this spring training, we're putting a big emphasis on getting you guys long-form interviews with these players. We've gotten so many of them on our social media channels. Almost all of them. We haven't got as many of them actually here on the podcast, and that's what we're trying to do. But what that requires is honestly kind of like what all of you fans have to experience at spring training as well. You got to wait.
A lot of waiting. Now, I'll say it again. Pretty awesome place to just be waiting around than in the warm sunshine of Arizona with a bunch of baseball going on and everybody in a good mood. But yes, there is a lot of waiting. I don't want to spoil the interviews yet because, again, we have to actually sit down and execute them. As we sit here, we're recording on Thursday. We are scheduled to have a few of them in the next couple of days before we leave. So I don't want to jinx it because it involves having to actually sit down and do it. But I will just fill the people in on this in terms of sitting and waiting. Players don't always know their schedules, like we were mentioning on Wednesday's episode. So as a result of that, when we ask some of the guys, they'll say, for example, Thursday or Friday. One player said Thursday or Friday. Let us check in tomorrow, that here being Thursday while we're sitting here recording, and I'll let you know where my schedule's at. He said, you know what? Friday actually works a little bit better. Can we do that? We said, sure. We obviously spent a lot of Thursday waiting around because we were going to check and see if it all still works, and we were prepared to do it if need be on Thursday. But Friday works better. So yes, as a result, that is waiting around. But you're right. We're at the point where we really, really want to be sitting down with these guys and doing some long-form interviews with them. Because truthfully, you guys, if you want more of a peek behind the curtain, this is the best chance you've really got, at least in terms of what we do. I know the Mariners radio network and the Mariners TV broadcasts and some of the other outlets like that, especially the ones that are team affiliated, can get some guys during the year. But it's not the same for people like us that basically have to do this all on our own. The setup, the execution, the sit down, the interview. During the year, there's just too much going on where spring training guys have a lot more time.
100%. And the people we can tell you we have gotten, and that will be on the schedule for the future, as we mentioned on Wednesday's episode. Rick Rizzs, of course, today. It's phenomenal. We could talk a little bit about Rick right before the interview. But Gabe Spire will also be next Wednesday, as we said on Wednesday's episode, right before Team USA debuts officially in the WBC.
Right. Exactly. And those guys were both awesome. And we're expecting the few more that we're likely planning to do over the final couple days to also be awesome. But yeah, players just don't always know their schedules during spring training. They're all over the place. So there is a lot of moving pieces, but that's why we're here. It's all worth it. And I would say in our first spring training down here, when we were here 2 years ago, with this being our third one, we probably were not in a place in terms of longevity and relationships built with players to be setting these interviews up. You just need more time. And I would say over these last couple years, now we're much more in a spot where we feel more comfortable saying, hey, not just you have 60 seconds, but hey, we'd love to actually sit down with you and do this whole thing. And this is a spring where we said we really need to put that into action and do it, and we're really trying to do it.
So this is your call to stay tuned to future episodes to see if we execute those. I think we will. So look ahead to those future episodes. But in terms of this episode, we got some more takeaways today. And I'm going to kick it off with this one. Some of the Mariners' new acquisitions are absolute grinders. And I'm going to highlight two guys specifically that we saw today on Thursday. Brendan Donovan and Rob Refsnyder. Lyle and I the last 2 days have got here as early as we've gotten here all spring training, like 7:45 in the morning. Most of the players are in at that point because they have meetings, they have eating breakfast, et cetera, et cetera. Brendan Donovan and Rob Refsnyder, we were sitting and watching today. I think each of them hit for 2 to 3 hours straight. And we're not just talking like on-field BP where they're working on something like spraying the ball the other way, et cetera. I mean, I'm watching Brendan Donovan early on in spring training this morning. And he starts off, he's in the bullpen area of Peoria, on the back where the guys like Logan Gilbert and George Kirby will normally throw their bullpens, where all the crowd can see. There's the short fence right before the turf starts. It's a great spot to sit and like watch the Mariners. So Brendan Donovan, before anyone's out throwing, is standing on the plate and just going through practice swings. He's not like swinging out of his heels. What it looked like is he was doing is he's trying to slash the other way. He's trying to do what he does best, not strike out, get on base, and stay alive, and sort of be a pest.
Can I just add, what a win for Boomer baseball fans out there.
I know.
You're thinking to yourself, Brendan Donovan's a big just hit it the other way guy.
He embodies like all the describers, the adjectives. Yeah, adjectives. I think I have that right. Of Brendan Donovan. That when you say grinder, gritty, baseball guy. I mean, he checks every single box of that. And what we were watching today really, I think, sort of reflected that. This dude also then steps in on someone's bullpen to get his timing down. I'm standing there watching. If you watch our vlog when it eventually comes out next week, you'll see Brendan Donovan standing in the lefty batter's box. This pitcher who, forgive me, I don't know who it was.
It was a right-hander. He was decently tall, but we didn't recognize him.
Yeah, didn't recognize him. But he was throwing a pen, and Brendan Donovan is standing in the batter's box. Not swinging. He's just trying to get his timing down. Maybe they also wanted a lefty batter in that box to help out the pitcher and work on throwing to a left-handed hitter. But Brendan Donovan is in there taking every single rep seriously. He is lifting his leg and getting his timing down every single time. He's not wearing batting gloves either.
I don't think he wears batting gloves in general, right?
He doesn't? I thought he did.
I can't remember. We'll have to go look at some highlights.
But I'm thinking, like, it's early in the morning. Brendan Donovan has a full day ahead of him. He's leading off the game, by the way, today. And he doesn't need to be standing in there. You can have Tom Wilhelmsen's an assistant down here. You can have Tom Wilhelmsen stand in that lefty box and just stand there. But no, Brendan Donovan wanted to be in that box, getting the reps against this arm to get his timing down. And I thought, I'm like, wow. And then he went on like 2 hours after that and kept hitting.
And got a hit in Thursday's spring training game.
Yeah.
I would say, too, even before all that went on, before 8 a.m., right when we got here, before Donovan even started stepping inside that box over on the turf in the bullpens here in Peoria, he's out on the turf before 8 a.m., and he's got one of those weighted batting tools in his hands. It's not a weighted bat, but it's one of the, it's a stick with a big, heavy, round.
Like a hammer?
No, it's not a hammer, but there's a big circular part on the end of it, and it's a weighted bat tool that some guys use in warm-ups. I want to say even Ichiro used it in the on-deck circles a lot growing through the years. But Donovan,
you mean the thing you actually put on your bat.
No, that's like a donut, and what makes it a weighted bat. Donovan's using something else. Point being, he's out there like using that tool And like you said, Moore getting his timing down. And I think he was doing some bunt drills too. Just getting ready.
People are going to love that.
Not us, but other people. But before 8 a.m. So like his day started offensively before 8 o'clock in the morning. He is going. He's hitting through the cages basically until he's ready to head over to the game. I mean, it was a whole process. It was hours. He was always doing something. There was no point where I saw Brendan Donovan standing around and just talking to people and shooting the breeze, aside from maybe the 90 seconds to 2 minutes that we spent talking to him.
Yeah, because we want to get him on the mic. I believe he'll be on our social channels sometime soon. We're going to grab him, I hope tomorrow or today when this episode comes out.
And even more than that, we hadn't met him yet.
Yeah,
we wanted to talk to him for a minute, see how everything was going. Sounds like he's loving it. He was saying it is nice in Arizona because you don't have to make the 3-hour bus rides. Everything's within an hour.
No overnight trips anywhere to any of the spring training facilities if you're playing a night game. Like that part's very nice. And the personality of him, I think, again, reflects as well. He's quiet, but it's not like he's not a talker.
Yeah, I would say the best way to put it is he's a little soft-spoken. I was talking to Salk about this, and I think what we said is soft-spoken, but not quiet. Like he has a lot to say. He's not overly loud. He's not Victor Robles, right? Or Victor Robles has a very, very what do you call it?
Extroverted personality.
Yeah, extroverted personality. Yeah. Donovan's not quite like that, but he is very interesting and clearly has things to say and is clearly very driven. So that was cool to take away.
Mm-hmm. What else for Brendan Donovan? I mean, then he went in the cages, hit a ton in the cages. We talked to him on his way into getting changed and getting ready to lead off. So we'll get him for a couple of fun things on our social channel, I think. I think he led off and he got a hit.
Great.
It's great. I love that. I mean, this dude, it's all business. It is all business with this guy. This is, I think, part of the Mariners' evolution of personalities for what the kind of guys they want to bring in. Like Brendan Donovan probably going forward will be the type of personality that they want in their clubhouse.
For sure.
Especially if you're adding externally. You don't have all of the equity built up with everyone else in the clubhouse. But you know what Cal and Julio and Gabe Spire and Dom Canzone, Josh Naylor really respect? A guy who works his ass off.
Sure. How'd you find that crop of names?
I know,
out of the
it was just
random.
popping of what I was thinking about that. I'm like, wow, all the best players on the team, and then, well, Dom Canzone. So,
I mean, let me. Obviously, everybody on the team matters. Everybody's going to have a role. Let me try again. Now I can't talk. Let me try this again.
Spin zone.
Spin zone. What Julio and Cal and Naylor and Logan and Wu and all those guys really respect is guys like Brendan Donovan. How about that?
I've been sitting out in the sun all day, and my brain has probably been getting fried in between my head and my Marine Lair podcast hat that you can get at marinelairpod.com/merch if you're watching on the YouTube. All available there. Yeah, I was just saying whatever name came to my head first. And Dom Canzone, I mean, saw him walk past many times today, so bang, he popped up.
And he was playing in the game.
He was playing in the game. Yeah, he had a dinky hit. He had the last hit on our way out.
Yeah. So, sure, maybe the sun gets to us. TJ can't think straight. My eyes been absolutely burning all week. I think I've looked in the sun too much.
I think we need to get you some sunglasses. I think you need to find a really good pair of sunglasses that fit your face.
I think that might have to be in the cards for next year's spring training, and maybe even a little bit before that, to be totally honest, because there's been a lot of looking
especially
in the sun.
if we're not doing any hats.
Right. I mean, my eyes are burning.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to complain. I love being down in Arizona, but I've probably gotten a little too much sun. Anyway, I would say, in addition to Donovan, the other really interesting note was from Rob Refsnyder, who we also spent a couple minutes with today and got to talk to a little bit. Another guy we certainly want to get on the social channels later. Oh, you're laughing. There's something you want to get to first. Just go ahead.
Well, we introduce ourselves because he's supposed to be an A-plus dude. Like we've seen, if you watch the Red Sox doc on Netflix, or you watched, I mean, really any interaction with Rob Refsnyder with the Boston media or any other of the stops in his career, it's been noted how, he's a really good guy. He's very easy to get along with.
Can't be that good a guy. He went to U of A.
We'll bring that up when we have a longer conversation with him,
Exactly.
Hopefully tomorrow. But
do not bear down, people. Forks up.
Rob, if you're listening to this, well, now you know. We walk up to Rob Refsnyder. Just want to introduce. Hey, Rob, nice to meet you. My name's TJ. He's like, this is Lyle. Just wanted to say hi. Hadn't got to meet you yet. He's like, oh yeah, I recognize you guys. The podcast, right? They were talking about you inside. I was like, oh, well, that's either good Or bad.
or real bad.
Or real bad. He didn't clarify. But
He
that was
just,
a funny first
I mean, he was
interaction.
just laughing. To be fair, Rob Refsnyder comes from Boston, where there is another very, I mean, again, we're nobodies. Let's make that clear. But in Boston is what I'm trying to say. There's a very, very, very popular team-based podcast for the Red Sox in Section 10. And I'm pretty sure he interacted with those guys. Like, he knows the media. He knows who's around.
Maybe he's a big team podcast guy. Maybe this guy, maybe on his drive to work, I'm not sure where he's staying in the Seattle area, but on his commute to T-Mobile Park, maybe he's just going to want to brush up on the pulse of the fan base every time on the way in.
I did hear from somebody that Refsnyder seemed to know who a lot of the media was before they even got to introduce themselves. Like, maybe it was Shannon that was telling us this, Shannon Dreyer, that basically when they started to introduce themselves to him, he seemed to know who almost everybody was. He seemed to know who Shannon was. It seems like maybe he did his homework on this stuff and he wanted to know, oh, here's who I'm going to interact with during the year.
And I don't think that's totally irregular, but maybe Refsnyder pays closer attention to it than other players. I don't know that this is protocol, but I'm just going to take a guess. The job of Mariners PR as being like the bridge between the media and the players for the most part. I mean, their job is to make the players as comfortable as possible. And part of that, I assume, includes breaking them down on the type of people they're going to be talking to at spring training and who they're going to be interacting with. And it seems like Rob has recepted that kind of information as well as a player possibly can.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I hope we get him on the mic at some point.
I hope we do too. But on top of that, with the storylines, he was hitting for just as long as Donovan was.
Just as long. I mean, in the cages for a long time, working on stuff.
That's who we spent all day waiting for.
He was out on the field. Well, sort of. We've spent a lot of the day waiting for somebody who we are still in the works with. Again, plan for later in the week.
Yeah.
We do not want to spoil it. We don't want to jinx it. We'll get it to you guys later. When we get all these interviews done, we will tell the full stories. Like we'll get into all of it. We just don't want to jinx anything yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that, we were waiting on Refsnyder too to see if he had some time. But he was headed over to the game. He got out of the cages pretty late. But he did tell us something interesting before, he told us something interesting as we were planning to just circle back with him later in the week. What he said was, I really want to get over to the game. I'm not playing today, but I want to watch for a while because they're playing the Guardians here on Thursday, the Mariners, and they're facing a guy by the name of Joey Cantillo, who's a left-handed starting pitcher. Left-handed starting pitcher, Refsnyder will play against a lot of left-handed starting pitchers, obviously makes sense. But he also says, in addition to that, he goes, we're going to see this guy the first weekend of the year. So I want to make sure I'm at the game and sitting up on the guardrail and watching because I want to know what I'm ready for in a few weeks. And I said to myself, I feel like you don't hear that all the time. That was pretty cool. A lot of guys, when their day's done at spring training, it's time to go hit the golf course or hang out with their family.
For someone who's not in the lineup.
Not in the lineup.
And he's a veteran, and he has a guaranteed contract, and his spot on the roster is not in question.
No.
So he doesn't have to be here, but he decided, hey, I want to stay, and I want to watch this stuff. And mind you, this piece of information is not something we're digging out of Rob Refsnyder. I mean, he was very open and talked about, I turned away, I was like, oh, he's like, because we were asking him, Rob, do you have a few seconds? And he's like, I think tomorrow would be better, guys, because I just spent all this time hitting. It's on my mind now. Let me get you guys tomorrow. I was like, great. And I'm turning away at this point. And then he adds on, yeah, I just want to get over the game and do this. I was like, oh.
He said,
didn't even ask.
He said, we're going to see the starter early in the year, so I want to make sure I'm up on the guardrail and watching him a lot today. And I thought to myself, that is pretty unique. That was the first time I'd ever heard something like that.
And that's the personality coming out right there, the transparency, the just relatability of this type of athlete with the rest of us.
Just to add on that, again, as I mentioned a minute ago, Cantillo's a left-handed pitcher. So Refsnyder may just want to be ready for this stuff in general, but knowing he may see a left-handed pitcher in the first weekend of the year, he's thinking to himself, oh, I'm probably going to be in the lineup against this guy. So a lot of players, right, when you're going to face a starting pitcher, the day before, maybe the series before, or however long ahead of time these guys get ready for it, they'll watch video, they'll do the scouting report, they'll be in their hitters meetings, they'll get themselves ready. But that's usually, at least to our knowledge, the extent of how offenses get ready for opposing starting pitchers, and they're not doing it weeks and weeks in advance. Refsnyder, weeks in advance, is like, for this one game, I need to be ready in the first weekend of the year. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is an embodiment of the work ethic that this team has. It starts with Cal. It continues on with the starting rotation and Julio Rodriguez and Josh Naylor and J.P. Crawford and on and on and on and on and on. But that that sentence from Rob Refsnyder perfectly encapsulates why people are so bullish on this team making it really far in the postseason and potentially going to the World Series. Ryan Divish puts it perfectly. He's been around the Mariners longer than just about anybody. And he says, not only is this group one of the most likable groups that I've ever covered, but it's also the hardest working group that I've ever been around. You don't have to tell them to go work. You don't have to tell Cal to go mentor Luke Stevenson. You don't need to go tell Cal to catch a bullpen. You don't need to tell Cal, hey, you have to stay in there one more at bat. No, these guys want to do this stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to tell Julio to go get reps in the cages. You don't have to tell Logan to make sure he's fully ready for every start. You just don't have to do that stuff.
It's very nice. This is something, as someone who's 27, soon to be 28, and Lyle, who's 28, who grew up from essentially 2004 on with the Mariners, who are disinteresting, not good, chocked full of drama.
No direction.
No direction, and according to Ryan Divish, not the hardest working group on planet Earth. To now have this it's incredible.
Let's put this sentence on a quote card because I think it's very real. More Brendan Donovans, more Rob Refsnyders, less Jesse Winkers.
Okay, yeah. Jesse Winker, from what we've heard, doesn't embody the kind of stuff we heard today.
Sure. Less, I don't know, who else you want to throw in there? Less Casey Kochmans.
Casey Kochman, Richie Sexton, Sean Figgins. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
There's stuff that happened at the game today. Cal had a couple of doubles here on Thursday. That was nice. Brendan Donovan put a really nice swing on a ball, hit it up the middle. Colt Emerson got a sun-assisted triple. We did a lap and a half around the ballpark and sat in the press box. I'd say pretty productive. Up and down the lineup and in the podcast space.
Really fun, yeah. Cal had a good game. Donovan put a nice swing on a ball like we talked about. Colt Emerson had a triple. It was a little sun-assisted, but he still hit it really well, and he had to leg it out to make it all the way to third, and he did.
And we watched him blister a ball to center.
Yeah, he has looked really good. Even the outs have looked really good from Colt.
Mm-hmm. All right, we need to talk a little bit about this Riz interview before we actually get it. The opportunity that Lyle and I have to sit down with Rick Rizzs, who I think we all as fans have listened to for almost our entire lives, is one of the coolest things ever. Sitting and listening to him talk about all of his favorite memories, being a broadcaster for the Mariners, what his plans are after, how much he loves this team and enjoys that work ethic that this team has, is incredibly cool.
So cool. The best way I can describe it, I said it to TJ immediately after we were done, is I felt my entire childhood passing through me throughout the course of the interview. I mean, sitting down with Rick when we did really had it start to hit me that this is it for him.
Yeah.
This is it in the booth for him. And I'm just going through all the memories that I have of Rick Rizzs growing up and being in the car and being in the house and being wherever I was listening. And I can just see it like passing all through in this interview. And I'm like, whoa, it's like, we obviously saw the info like everybody else did and saw the news that he was going to be retiring after this year. But it really didn't hit me till we got to sit down with him for these 25, 30 minutes. And he's going through all his stories.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to listen to this interview. You really hear it all from Rick. I think you do. It put a huge smile on my face. We won't keep you guys any longer. Let's get you to the interview with Rick Rizzs. All right, we have a very, very, very special guest on with us. He's right here next to me, the voice of the Mariners for his 41st and final season. It's Rick Rizzs. You know his voice. I just want to say, Rick, this is an absolute honor for us. I don't want to make you feel old, but you are the voice of our childhood. Yeah. We've only ever known Mariners baseball with Rick Rizzs. So the ability to have you on here with us, it's an absolute pleasure.
Well, TJ and Lyle, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you. I've been around for a long time, so thank you. We've had a lot of great moments, in Seattle, especially over the last few years. Last season getting so close to the World Series. This year is going to be very special, so it's great to spend a little time with you, too, and talk a little baseball.
The way I've heard you talk about it, it has sunk in at this point, right? Like it is clocked in your mind. Like this is the last season. It's like, oh, I don't want to think about like what it's going to be like when it's not it. Like you have sort of, it sounds like accepted like this is it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it actually for a couple of years. Of course, didn't tell anybody, but I was thinking about what I want to see in my last chapter of my life. I still got a long way to go. I'm okay. Everything's fine. But, I've had some certain things happen in my life that makes me want to take a look back and say, maybe it's time to take care of myself. And, if I want to get on a plane and go somewhere, I want to go where I want to go. But, things have happened in my life. My son passed away a couple of years ago. Some of my close friends have passed away. That little light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter. Like I said, I'm fine. But it just makes you sit back and reflect on what do you want for the rest of your life. I'm 72 years of age. I've been living my dream for 51 years, 52 years, with 8 years in the minor leagues, 41st with the Mariners coming up, 3 with the Detroit Tigers. So I have been so blessed. But these kids keep me young on these baseball teams. But I'm looking forward to the next chapter, whatever, that is. So I thought about this the last few years, and this year is going to be really special. I'm taking in every drop of the season.
How fast has 41 years flown by?
Oh, Lyle, it's flown by. It really has. I mean, I can remember being a 12-year-old kid writing my hero, Jack Brickhouse, growing up in Chicago. Jack was the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Chicago Cubs. Write him a letter saying, I want to be a major league broadcaster, like you, and then going to college, playing on the JV team, 8 years in the minor leagues, and now here I am at the end of my major league career as a broadcaster. It's flown by. It's you take a look around, and each season just goes by faster and faster. The off season comes, and then the new season comes even faster and faster. But I can remember like it was yesterday, guys, opening day for me in 1983 with the Mariners with the great Dave Niehaus, after 8 years in the minor leagues. I wasn't in Toledo, Ohio, or Alexandria, Louisiana. I was in Seattle, Washington, in the Kingdom, watching the Mariners take on the New York Yankees. It was Gaylord Perry against Ron Guidry. I go, I'm not in the minor leagues anymore, and it's been a dream come true.
How crazy is it that I think the first time in your adult life you're going to have your summers back? Not that you didn't like spending your summers at the ballpark,
right? But
the summer is now yours. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go to the ballpark. Excuse me. I'm going to go to games. I'm going to sit in the stands. Hopefully I'll have my 4-season tickets and watch a game and have a cold beverage and take friends out to the game or meet them there. But, I'm looking forward to it. The preparation is the work part of it. I still love that. I get up at 6 in the morning. I sit at my kitchen table for 2 hours, starting at 7 o'clock, and get ready for the game. I won't have to do that. But I'm looking forward to going to the ballpark, but mostly spending time with my grandkids. Jackson is 20. Braden is 17 now. My little girl is not so little. She's 11 now. She's a figure skater over in Wenatchee. She's a really good figure skater. She wants to skate in the Olympics one day, and I believe she will. So that's going to be my focus. My grandkids, my cat Sparky, spend more time with him. I love that cat. I don't know what I'd do without him. But, spend time with my friends and go visit my brother a little bit more in Chicago and my sister-in-law. And but I'm going to come down here every spring. I have a place down here that I have for just 6 weeks. I'm not going to move down here. Can't live down here during the summer. But I'll come down here every spring and just relax, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. Talk with you guys.
There we go.
How's that sound?
That sounds amazing. I mean, I'll give TJ the credit for thinking about this and comparing you to Ichiro in a way. But when you retire, how similar do you think your retirement's going to be to Ichiro? Because for those who don't know, and I think a lot of people do, Ichiro's at the field every day,
all the time.
Every morning. Yeah. He's out here working out. He's playing catch with the guys. He doesn't usually stick around for the games, but he's always there pregame. Is that going to be you when you retire? Are you just going to be making your rounds, talking to people on a daily basis where you get all the time with your grandkids, you don't have to do the broadcast prep and get on the air, but you still make your rounds at the ballpark?
Yeah, I'm still going to be around the ballpark. I'm not going to bug Gary. I'm going to let him do his job, and hopefully we're going to hire a young guy or whoever, or young lady, to replace me next year. And Aaron, I'm going to let these guys do their job. It's their time. I had my time in 1983. I had my time over the last 41 years in between the 3 years in Detroit, which is a heck of a story. But I'll still be around the ballpark. I want to talk to the people in the suites and, help promote the team in some way. I talked with Jerry DePoto about scouting. I got 3 high schools real close by up where I live in Issaquah, 18 high schools, in a 20, 30-mile radius. That's something I think I would like to do. It's totally up to the Mariners. But and I'm going to work on my cars. I don't know too much about them, but I have a couple of classic cars. I'll find out what it's like and travel. So I'm still going to be around. And I love talking with the fans. My favorite part of the day down here is spring training. You know, it's coming down here to Field 1, Field 2, and visit with the fans and talking baseball because the fans have been great to me. I love the fans. We've got the greatest fans in Major League Baseball. They deserve a champion. I think we're going to give them that championship this year. So I'll be around.
So when I sit back and I think about Mariners baseball and listening to you, I know how much you love 1995. You talk about it so much.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize until I was sitting here and getting ready for this interview is really how close you were to not even being here for 1995.
Right.
How much do you sit and think about that?
Oh, very grateful. If it wasn't for Dave Niehaus, I would have missed it because I was here in '83, and after 9 seasons, Ernie Harwell of the Detroit Tigers was being pushed out by the regime there, which was a terrible idea. But he went up to me and he said, "Rick, I want you to apply for my job." And I said, "Ernie, I feel sorry for the poor son I've got that's got to replace you," because they were up in arms. Ernie, legend there in Detroit, 34 years as the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Tigers. But Dave said, "You know what, Rick? You know, why don't you go for it? You know, you're more than welcome to stay right here, of course, but why don't you give it a shot?" So I did, and I applied for the job, and I got it. But that first year, just kind of abbreviate things if I can, Tom Manahan, the Domino's pizza guy, sold to Mike Ilitch, the Little Caesars pizza guy, halfway through my first year. And Mr. Ilitch and the new organization wanted to get Ernie back because Ernie was beloved there. He should have never left. And we got Ernie back my second year there in 1993, and I worked with Ernie for an entire season. He did 3 innings of play-by-play, and myself and Bob Rathman, did the other 6 innings. But, after 3 years, they let me go. They got Ernie back, let me go a week before Christmas, and I knew it was going to happen. I called Dave Niehaus, Kevin Kremen, Randy Adamak, Chuck Armstrong, and thank goodness, thank you guys for getting me back when they did, because thank goodness I didn't miss the 95 season. I was happy that Mr. Ilitch let me go because 95 was the year that saved baseball in Seattle. It was the year that Ken Griffey Jr. shattered his wrist at the end of May of 1995, had the surgery on his wrist, plate, 7 screws, 9 screws in his wrist, and then came back 3 months later. And, with Randy Johnson and Jr. when he came back, and Edgar Martinez and Dan Wilson and Norm Charlton and the rest of the guys, little Joey Cora, Mike Blowers, they kept winning. The Angels kept losing. We had the 1-game playoff. Luis Sojo had the big base hit, swinging the ground ball, 6 on by Sojo down the right field line to the bullpen. Here comes Blowers. Here comes Tino. Here comes Joey. Throw home, cut off by Langston. Relay home, gets it by Allen. Scores. Everybody scores.
You'd never know what year it is.
And 1995, the 1-game playoff, and the Mariners won the American League West for the very first time. And thank goodness I didn't miss that season, because without those guys, the Mariners doing what they did, how they did it, and when they did it, we wouldn't be here.
No.
And of course the new ownership, with Nintendo coming in with the new ownership and but the guys had to get it done on the field to generate that interest, to generate that excitement, to prove to the Northwest, but to prove to Major League Baseball that Seattle could not only survive but thrive in the Pacific Northwest, and we are thriving right now because of that team.
It is crazy to think about. If Luis Sojo doesn't hit that triple in an error, maybe we're not baseball fans, because that was before we were born. It was 2 years before we were born.
Wow.
And if
Now
that
I do feel it. I got T-shirts older than you guys.
Oh, God. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've watched the play a million times growing up, but it is crazy to think about the ripple effects of that season and what it's done for this whole city.
Oh, no doubt, Lyle. I mean, like I said, they were 13 games out of first place on August the 1st with 2 months left to play. It was the third largest comeback in Major League history. Teams don't come back from a 13-game deficit with 2 months to play. Maybe with 6 months, if there are 13 games out in the first month of the season, maybe. But with 2 months left to play, that was absolutely remarkable. Edgar Martinez, the Hall of Famer, Randy Johnson, the Hall of Famer, Ken Griffey Jr., the Hall of Famer, and everybody else. Lou Piniella taught that team how to win, pushed all the right buttons. Norm Charlton, thank goodness, was released, I believe, by the Phillies, and the Mariners signed him in June of that year. I'll never forget. The kingdom was dark. I was there in the press box, in the radio booth early, and saw this guy go down to the left field line of the bullpen. And I heard pop, pop, pop. He threw about maybe 10 pitches, if that. They walked back in. I saw Lou was there, and found out 5 minutes later we signed Norm Charlton, and thank goodness Norm Charlton came along. So, I mean, all the stars aligned for that team to do what they did to save baseball.
You mentioned seeing Norm at the ballpark early, warming up. In general, how many people beat you to the ballpark on a regular basis? Because you're there, I feel like, before everybody.
Yeah, I usually leave the house around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Lyle, TJ, get to the ballpark at 1:30 or leave at 1:30, get there by 2. I love getting there early, and I get my homework done out of the way, which is my notes on the team and the starting pitchers. That way I can spend time down in the field, in the dugout, in the clubhouse, talking with the guys and getting stories. The first guy I went to was Lou. I said, Lou, who was that? That's Norm Charlton. I go, whoa, that's awesome, man.
So
He was making a comeback after his success with his team in the Cincinnati Reds, winning a World Series in 1990. Remember the Nasty Boys that Charlton was a part of. But that's what I like to do, get to the ballpark early. And when I did the whole post-game show long before, Gary Hill got involved and Aaron, I did the whole post-game show. It was just me, so I would be the first one there, last one to leave. Now we can get out of there after the round table. But I love what I do, and I loved it. I've loved it. I'm living my dream for the last 51 years.
If you could relive one moment again, what would it be?
Oh, my goodness. There's so many, TJ, but that 95 season, what they did to capture the excitement in the city, to see the joy and the jubilation of the fans in the Kingdom, the one-game playoff, but also Edgar's double. I would love to relive that every day. And now Edgar's here every day as the hitting coach for the ball club. The Mariners were down 5-4 in the bottom of the 11th inning to the Yankees. Little Joey Corey had a bunt base hit. Don Mattingly couldn't get the tag on him, diving for him. Junior base hit up the middle 2 pitches later. Here comes Edgar with a chance to he said all he wanted to do was just tie the game. I wanted to just hit a sacrifice fly. That was the beauty of Edgar Martinez. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. And he took a fastball for a strike from Jack McDowell, who struck him out with a forkball in the 9th inning. He said, I was looking for the forkball. He got it, didn't overswing, boom, double down the left field line, the biggest hit in the franchise. 56,000 people were going crazy in the Kingdom, hugging and kissing each other, and just the joy and the excitement of the fan base knowing, you know what, we can do this. We just beat the New York Yankees, packed 56,000 people in the Kingdom, and the whole world took notice that baseball was going to be all right in Seattle because of those guys.
Can you compare that to what we just saw this past season in the postseason, which I feel like in almost a similar context, not the same exterior situation that the Mariners were dealing with in 1995 with the stadium, but what Jorge Polanco did in the 15th inning against the Tigers, that I sort of feel like unlocked the kind of team that we have here at spring training where the expectations are incredibly high and everyone knows they can win.
Yeah, TJ, it was very similar. 95 saved baseball. 2025 was the greatest season on the field because we got to the American League Championship Series, which we've done before, but we got to Game 7. And they were just 8 outs away from getting to the World Series, someplace we've never been before. But to have 47,000 people at T-Mobile Park yelling and screaming like they did, they have a seismograph inside the ballpark, and the fans created a 2.5 earthquake, on the Richter scale, and the excitement was amazing, just like it was in 95. So I went back to that, and I saw it again last year, and it's just the greatest thing in the world if you're a baseball fan. Your team getting that far and winning like that, in 15 innings with a walk-off base hit by Jorge Polanco, and the Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship Series. I could still recall what Dave Niehaus said when Edgar hit the double. Down the left field line, here comes Joey, here comes Junior. The throw will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. My oh my, it just continues. And then here I am with a chance to make that call with Polanco's base hit in the right field to score J.P. Crawford to put the Mariners in the American League Championship Series. And it was just one of the great, incredible, remarkable, beautiful moments in the history of our franchise because of the fans. You fans have supported this team so well for so long, and and I can't thank you enough. You guys are the best fans in baseball.
Okay, before we get back to 2026, I do want to talk about Dave here for a second because he obviously means so much to you and you pay tribute
Love
to
him.
him all the time, which is amazing. I think a lot of people around our age know how much he meant to the franchise but couldn't appreciate it themselves because they didn't grow up with him. Like me, I met him once briefly at FanFest. I was so young. I must have been 4 or 5 years old, but I don't think I understood the significance of it at the time. So
Yeah.
how much did Dave mean to you? I know it's a loaded question, but like,
No.
can
it's
you
a
put
great
it into
question.
context?
Yeah, and the answer is he meant everything to me, and me saying me, he meant everything to the fans in the Pacific Northwest, but me in particular because he gave me an opportunity. You know, I hope every kid, no matter if they're a broadcaster or whatever it is they do in life, has a Dave Niehaus in their life to give them an opportunity. All we ask for in this life, in our country, is an opportunity to show what we can do. Then it's up to us to do something with it. And Dave meant everything to me. He got me here as a young broadcaster in 1983. Finally, after 8 years in the minor leagues, making $200 a month, $500 a month, $750 a month, washing the uniform, shining the shoes. My first job in 1975 in Alexandria, Louisiana. Here I am now in the big leagues because of Dave Niehaus. Then I'm here for 9 years. Go away to Detroit. He gets me back, and I didn't miss the 1995 season. But what he meant to the fans was unbelievable. He was the greatest announcer, I think, in Major League Baseball. When the team had so many lean years in the early part of the franchise, starting from 1977, we didn't have our first winning season until 1991 when we won 82 games. But the Mariners had Dave Niehaus, and he meant everything to the fans in the Pacific Northwest. You tune in to a Mariners game on KVI at the time, now Seattle Sports, 7:10 a.m., and you heard the beautiful voice to bring baseball alive to fans in the Pacific Northwest. He was the greatest storyteller I've ever sat next to. He's the greatest storyteller I've ever seen as a broadcaster. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's got a statue out at T-Mobile Park. He's got a street named after him in front of the ballpark. That's all you need to know about Dave Niehaus. But without Dave, you know, we would have lost so much, you know, listening to those games in the early days. And then for the ball club to do well, then Major League Baseball and the fans discovered Dave Niehaus because here comes ESPN, the game of the week, and people were hearing Dave's calls in 1995. They go, who's that guy out in Seattle getting so excited? Man, he's really good. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in the Hall of Fame in 2008. So to answer your question, he meant everything to me. I love Marilyn, his wife, and his family. Greta, his daughter, is like my daughter, and his sons, Matt and Andy. Our families blended together along with Kevin Kremen and his family. And without Kevin and Dave, I wouldn't be here. But he meant everything to the fans in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest.
What would it mean to you for this team to finally get the deal done and win a World Series?
Oh, my gosh. I might jump out of the booth. I don't know.
Please don't.
Oh, my goodness. When Junior scored the run in 1995, I was jumping up and down. I took my headphones off, and Dave was making the call. Junior on the third throw home is going to be late. But it would mean everything because we've never been there. We're the only team that has never been to the World Series. We're one of a handful of teams that has never won a series. Teams have been there but haven't won, the Padres and a few other ball clubs. But it would just mean everything because that's why these guys put on a uniform. That's why fans tune in because you want your team to win. And the Mariners have an opportunity to do that. So close last year, and now the fans know they can get there. But the most important thing is belief. It's very powerful. And those guys in that clubhouse over there, here it is, you know, in the early part of spring training, they know they can win the World Series. And that's a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to a great season here in 2026.
Last thing for me, Rick. When was the last time you felt an expectation around spring training like this? Because speaking for myself, in my life, I can think of 2015. There was a lot of hype for that team.
Yeah.
They just come off. They had a great pitching season. They had Cano, they had Cruz, they had Seager. They were on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and they flopped.
Yeah.
They finished sub 500.
Yeah.
I don't see that with this group,
No.
and I see the expectation higher than that.
This is the highest expectation 41 years I've ever seen here. You know, in 1995 when they won, then they traded Mike Blowers and Tino Martinez, and you know that Randy's days were kind of numbered a few years later after that. But right now, they have had Jerry DiPoto and Justin Hollander have done an amazing job putting the pieces of the puzzle together for this team. You know, doing an amazing job of scouting and drafting. 2018, Logan Gilbert. 2019, George Kirby. 2020, Emerson Hancock. 2021, Bryce Miller in the 4th round, Brian Wu in the 6th round, adding Luis Castillo, the trade with San Diego, bringing over Andres Munoz, and other deals that they made. Bringing in Brendan Donovan this year. It's going to be a great addition to the leadoff spot, an all-star and a gold glover. The maturation of J.P. Crawford over the last 5 years. I think he deserves more credit, than he gets. The young players in this organization, the expectations are sky high for this baseball team, and I'm not putting any pressure on that team because they know it already in the clubhouse. They're out there in Field 1, right now getting ready, and they're ready to go all the way and win this whole thing. As Cal said, let's win the whole doggone thing.
Speak of the devil, last one I got for you. As you enter your final season, what is in the cards for Cal Raleigh in 2026? Loaded question, but everybody wants to know.
It's amazing, Lyle, what he did. It's so off the charts. He had the greatest season in the history of Major League Baseball for a catcher. How he didn't win the MVP award, I don't understand. I thought it should be a landslide, because he did it as a catcher.
Yes.
He got beat up behind home plate. He kept going and going and going. He caught 121 games, played 38 as a designated hitter. 60 home runs. Think about that. If he hits 20 fewer this year, 20, he still hits 40. And not too many catchers have hit 40 in back-to-back years. I mean, Mike Piazza maybe, Johnny Bench, that's it. Or 30-plus home runs 2-3 years in a row. You can add in, Campanella and a few other great catchers. That's it.
Right.
And what he did defensively, he didn't have one pass ball the entire season, regular season.
Right.
He had more home runs than any catcher in the history of the game of baseball, surpassing Salvador Perez. He had more home runs than any switch hitter in the game of baseball. Another Hall of Famer, Mickey Mantle. He tied Babe Ruth for the 3rd most home runs in American League history with 60. He set the Mariners record for most home runs in a single season, 60. Junior had 56 a couple of years in a row. So it's amazing what this young man has done. So if he hits anywhere between 30 and 40 home runs, it's going to be another phenomenal year. And what he did was so off the charts that who knows what he can do this year. But to do it again, oh, man, would be incredible, because no catcher has ever hit 60 home runs in a single season until Cal Raleigh did it last year. It was just amazing to watch. His consistency. I think he had more home runs than anybody at the All-Star break other than Barry Bonds, and we know what Barry did in 1998.
Crazy.
But he did it the right way. He works hard. And the other part of the MVP, which the writers missed out on, is the V part, the valuable.
Yeah.
And just one instance out of 1,000, a long road trip. It wasn't a good trip later on in the year. We ended up in Atlanta. They started winning, came home against St. Louis, ended up winning 9-10 in a row, 17 out of 18 games. Cal Raleigh, in a game against St. Louis, early in the ballgame, first inning, Logan Gilbert gives up 3 runs. The bases are loaded, 3 on and nobody out. And Cal calls time, goes out there, talk with his good buddy, and he says the words of wisdom that he says. He calms him down. Logan strikes out the next guy, strikes out the following guy, strikes out the next guy, strikes out the side, gets out of the inning without giving up a run. That's Cal Raleigh. He knows each and every one of those guys. He's so prepared. When he shows up at the ballpark at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whenever he gets there, he's prepared before he gets to the ballpark. He knows what it takes to get his pitcher through a ball game. He knows each and every guy down there in the bullpen. And I can't say enough about Cal Raleigh. In my mind, I'm going to say every time he comes up to home plate, here's the American League MVP, because he deserves the award. Nothing against Aaron Judge. But Aaron Judge at 331, I get that. And his OPS, I get that. But it's not about the best offensive player, which I think Cal was, actually. But it's about who was the most valuable player. And I told people, even on a podcast with guys from New York, I said, put a mask and a chest protector and shin guards in Aaron Judge, have him catch 121 games, and see what Aaron Judge would hit. And I love Aaron Judge, but see what he would hit. And in order to find out the MVP award, you got to compare apples to apples. You could do that. Aaron Judge would not hit 331.
No.
No.
So Cal Raleigh should have been the American League MVP. I can go for another half hour. I know we're running out of time. But he had the greatest year in the history of Major League Baseball for a catcher. And on top of that, he's like one of the nicest guys I've ever met in 51 years.
It's amazing.
You know, in my broadcast career.
In terms of superstars, like we're talking Judge, Trout, Ohtani,
Yeah.
Betts, Soto, like these guys.
Yeah.
Is he not like the most available, the
Yeah.
most like
Down to earth.
Nice.
down to earth, just
Respectful.
normal
Yeah.
superstar that for me and on my brief time here
Yeah.
covering the Mariners that I've ever been around?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
I feel exactly the same way, TJ and Lyle. I mean, all you have to do is meet his mom and dad and his younger brother, his family. You know where he comes from. You know, growing up in North Carolina, his dad's from the Northeast, and you know he grew up with a great work ethic, always around the ballpark. He loved the game of baseball. And I found out real early when I asked him, I said, "You're a switch hitter. What's your natural side?" He said, "Rick, I don't have one."
Mm.
I mean, his dad started him switch hitting from both sides of the plate about 4 years old. You know, 10 swings from left side, 10 swings from right side. But he had that work ethic, that love of his family, the love of baseball, and it shows in each every day. He has tremendous respect for us, for the job that we do. He has tremendous respect for the fan base, spends time with them, and now he's doing all these wonderful commercials. I don't know where he finds time to do them, but that one commercial for the plumbing company is just hilarious. It's really good. And everything he does is really good. Everything he touches is really good. He wins the home run derby.
Mm-hmm.
And he predicted it when he was 8 years old, 20 years ago.
Amazing.
You know, I'm the home run derby champ. I'm the home run derby champ. His dad videotaped him, and sure enough, last year he won the home run derby. I don't know how they did it, but he measured his last home run was an inch farther than Brent Rooker, so he continued to the next round.
Yeah.
But that was the year for Cal Raleigh. It was a special year for Cal, and I can't wait to see what he does this year.
Well, Rick, this has been an absolute honor, and I'll speak for the both of us as lifelong Mariners fans. We have never known Mariners baseball without Rick Rizzs, so having you here on this podcast, your final season, it means a lot to us. Thanks for joining us.
Well, TJ and Lyle, it means a lot to me to be with you and to, you know, tell the fans a little bit about this baseball team, a little bit about myself, because, you know, there's great stories to tell. And the beauty about baseball is a lot more stories to tell. You know, ever since I got here in 1983, and 2026 is going to, you know, be chock full of great stories to tell, and all starts on opening day. Actually starts right down here at spring training. So I can't wait to see this baseball season unfold and be a part of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for what you do.
Well, shout out to the legend, the voice of the Mariners, Rick Rizzs. What a cool interview.
My biggest takeaway is how at peace Rick is with this decision. It sounded like he had this idea that this would be his final season for a couple of years now, and I think he has all of the right reasons for it, but he also understands that this is not the end for him and the Mariners. Here, he wants to go scout. There's a bunch of high schools with great talent in the Seattle area, and he can go watch some of these kids and have the opportunity to do that. But on top of that, he is always going to be around the Mariners. He's going to be in the Mariners Hall of Fame. He's probably going to have a statue in the ballpark. He's got a house down here in Arizona that he can come visit spring training at. I do really think he's going to be like Ichiro in his retirement.
I think it is going to be very much like Ichiro, where, yeah, he's retired, but he's never really left. I am going to guess during a lot of spring trainings moving forward, Rick's just going to be able to walk in whenever he wants, as he should, go talk to all his favorite players, go talk to all the media, go talk to the coaches, and he's going to be giving tours and interacting with fans. Rick Rizzs embodies the Mariners, and to not have him around wouldn't feel right. And I think Rick doesn't want to not be around. What did he say he was going to do during the summer when he's retired? Probably go to baseball games. Probably go to Mariners games.
And just instead of sitting in the booth, he's going to sit in the stands or a suite with a drink in his hand and relax with his family.
Family and friends.
That's going to be a really, really awesome opportunity for him. And I hope the Mariners pay it off for him.
Can they win it in the final year for him?
I mean,
How poetic would that be?
It wouldn't even just be for him. I mean, it's for him and it's for Dave Niehaus, because as much as Dave Niehaus is honored within the Mariners organization with the statue and in the Mariners Hall of Fame and all of this stuff, I feel like Rick carries the last lively part of Dave Niehaus with him and brings it to the broadcast every single night. I don't think that will continue going forward. I don't think that's going to be something that's Gary's going to do or whoever the new broadcaster is or that Aaron Goldsmith's going to do, because that's just not who they are. They just have to be authentically themselves. But that's who Rick Rizzs is. Love Dave Niehaus. And I feel like that would be a great way to send them both off in this last year.
I feel like there could be a very real possibility that if the Mariners are close to getting into the playoffs or the picture shows that they're probably going to get into the playoffs, I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see a Mariners hashtag that's something along the lines of "Win it for Riz."
Yeah.
In 2026.
I agree. Yeah, I'm 100% with you.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it to Rick in the interview because he's way too humble for this and he'd never say anything along these lines. But I got to tell you guys, there is some room out in right center field next to that Dave Niehaus statue. He's sitting at that table. There is some room along with it. And I don't think there is a more poetic way to honor Rick Rizzs than putting his statue, because he's going to have one, next to Dave Niehaus.
Next to his longtime broadcast partner.
And very good friend.
And a big reason that he was in Seattle to start and that he came back to Seattle.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Man, shout out to Rick Rizzs. That was such a fun interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys felt some of your childhood through that interview like TJ and I did, or some of your adulthood if you grew up listening to Rick Rizzs throughout your 20s and 30s and 40s or whatever time period of your life. But let's all enjoy him this final year in 2026 because he is a treasure. They don't make him like Rick Rizzs. They don't come around all the time. So to have him do his final season here in Seattle, pretty cool. And let's hope the Mariners pay it off with a pretty awesome season.
Yeah.
I think that just about wraps up this edition of the Marine Layer podcast. This is going to be our last episode recording here live at spring training. I am going to miss it. I'm sure by Sunday, when we record our next one, I'm going to be missing Arizona. So we're going to take in our final 2 days. I certainly hope by the time we're recording next, we have got some very, very fun interviews in the hopper waiting for you guys. If we do, we're going to talk about them. We're going to fill you in on them. We're going to do a lot in our last 2 days here in Arizona, and we're going to keep you updated through it all. So with that, if you're listening to these episodes, again, please go make sure and download. You guys know the drill. You can go rate and review 5 stars, download. It all helps on the audio side. Like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube. Hitting subscribe on YouTube really, really helps us on YouTube, you guys. So go do that. You can find us across social media. Well, before that, you can find us on our website, marinelayerpod.com. Our social media stuff there, but our episodes are all there. Merch is all there. Patreon's all there. So go check that out. And follow us across social media at Marine Layer Pod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.